AITA for refusing to wear a wig to my friend's wedding. I grew up in a very strict Christian family where I wasn't allowed to cut my hair, ever, because hair is a woman's crown. It was down to my knees by the time I escaped at 18. Ever since then I've either had a pixie, a buzz cut, or have been totally bald, because I cannot stand the heavy feeling of long hair or all the brushing, washing, detangling after dealing with it for so many years. So that's a big reason I'm so stubborn about this issue. Also, all of my friends involved in this story have always known me as the girl with no hair. Right now I'm bald because I always shave my head completely for the summer. One of my good friends is getting married in August and she chose me to be one of her bridesmaids. Everything had been cool. She's always been the sweetest person and she showed no signs of going bridezilla before this, until she called me up about 3 weeks ago and asked me if I could do her a favor and wear a wig to her wedding. She explained that she wanted all of her bridesmaids to match and that she wanted us all to look good in the pictures. I told her I really didn't want to get a wig, and we've been on bad terms ever since. All of our friends are on her side because it's just a wig and it's not like she's asking you to grow out your hair for the wedding, so she's not the one being unreasonable. And I know I can be very stubborn sometimes, which I guess is the reason I'm posting here. The thing is, I don't know how many of you will be aware of this, but a wig that will actually look good, realistic, is expensive. I've already paid for a bridesmaid's dress, new shoes, and plane tickets, as well as a small deposit for the person who's going to do our makeup. This wedding has already cost me a fortune. I could afford a wig if I wanted to, but do I really want to spend the money on something I'll never wear again when I've already spent a ton? Not really. Also, this is going to be on a plantation in Louisiana. In August, I'm already going to be hot and uncomfortable, and a wig will make things 1,000 times worse. My biggest reason, and this is why my friends are saying I'm the asshole, is the principle of the thing. I feel like it implies I look bad because I don't have hair, which I personally don't think is true. Is being bald so hideous I'll ruin her pictures? Is she going to make her balding father wear a toupee? And I think the I want us to match thing is stupid. We're already wearing matching dresses, why isn't that enough? I know it's her day and we're supposed to make her happy, but isn't there a line? I've offered to wear a cute headscarf as a compromise if my bald head is that offensive, but she's not having it. I'm still in the bridal party and invited, but I don't know for how much longer, honestly. Am I the idiot for not wanting to wear a wig? Edit. Just to add 2 things. 1. She's not willing to pay or reimburse me for the wig, in part or in full too. Along with the headscarf, I'd also be willing to grow my hair out into a pixie cut. The wedding is at the beginning of August, so it'd still be really short though. Update. So first of all, thank you so much for your replies and advice. I'm writing an update post because things ended up working out well, and because I want people to see my friend isn't actually a horrible person like people were saying she was. I texted her asking if we could work things out over a phone call. We don't live in the same state, so our relationship is over phone and text. It turns out a lot of you were right and my friend was being pressured to ask me to wear a wig. Her future mother-in-law found out about my shaved head and pitched a fit. Like I said in a comment, my friend can be a huge pushover, and this woman is apparently a nightmare. She's also paying for the vast majority of the wedding, so my friend felt even more beholden to what she wanted. That's why she told me she couldn't pay for the wig. Mother-in-law refused to. Neither of them knew how expensive a good wig can be. My friend only found out when I told her over the phone. That's also why our dresses, shoes, and makeup weren't covered. It turns out my friend is mortified by what she sees as her mother-in-law making her look cheap and greedy, but she didn't want to tell us that because she's already embarrassed to be relying on her mother-in-law's money. Apparently it's her fiancé's family insisting on a huge extravagant wedding. That's why her reasons didn't ring true to me as well. She didn't want to hurt my feelings by telling me that her mother-in-law was being so judgmental of me, so she basically blurted out the first things that came into her head. She assured me she thinks I look great with short hair and apologized for making me think she thought I look bad. I know people will question how I can believe her, but I've been friends with her for nearly 10 years and I give her the benefit of the doubt. We've been there for each other through a lot and really care about one another. I'm still eyeing the plantation wedding, but I didn't tell her that because she seemed so stressed out by essentially being bullied by her fiancé's family I didn't want to pile on. I do know for a fact that she only wanted that venue for the big oak trees all over the property, which are admittedly beautiful. I went to the plantation's website and they do acknowledge slavery's evils and even have a memorial to everyone who was enslaved there, so that makes me feel slightly better. I did tell her that asking me as a mixed girl to wear a blonde wig could be seen as racially insensitive and I explained why. She was horrified and apologized over and over sincerely. She wants to stand out from her bridesmaids in pictures, and she didn't even consider the racial implications of asking me because most of her bridesmaids are blonde. She's kind of oblivious to things like that, so are a lot of people. But the few times I've had to point out something she said could be hurtful, she's always been understanding instead of defensive. I decided I'm going to grow out my hair as much as possible for the wedding just to help her not get grief from her monster-in-law. It'll still be pretty short, so that's okay. She's fine with that too, except she was worried I'll still have to deal with snide remarks from her fiancé's family. I reassured her that after nearly a decade with short hair I've pretty much heard it all. By the time we hung up I felt way better, not only about the wedding, but about our friendship. Not the idiot. The makeup isn't even being paid for. I hope they don't mind if you do your own makeup then. I'm sorry. I get that the mother-in-law is footing the bill, but your friend should bust out her own credit card if there are required expenses for the people in the wedding that mother-in-law refuses to pay for. Oh poor me, I can't do anything about it because she's paying only goes so far. Not the idiot. I spit my water out at the plantation bit. As a fellow mixed person, I have to say I personally wouldn't touch the venue with a 6-foot pole, but kudos for looking past it and going regardless. No sarcasm here. Your friend sounds sweet but innocently clueless. Lol, I'm glad you were able to resolve the wig problem, and I'm sure your bald self will look beautiful. Would you have worn the wig? Let me know in the comments. Now, AITA for telling my mother that my husband is not her replacement son. My parents have 2 kids, me, female, 26, and my brother Dan, male, 34. Dan had a rough time growing up and frankly, my parents failed him. As a teenager he struggled with severe addiction and mental illness and they did almost nothing to help him. By the time he was done with college, he had completely cut off my parents. To this day, Dan and my parents are still estranged. I, on the other hand, still speak to my brother regularly. My parents, especially my mom, take every chance they can get to mourn the loss of their son and act as though my brother wronged them by leaving. Dan has told me he wouldn't mind reconnecting with them, but only if they reach out and apologize first. I've encouraged my parents to do this, but they insist that he betrayed them. I got married early last year to my husband Jeff. We have a happy marriage and he is adored by all my friends and family, but I feel like my parents have been crossing some boundaries. For example, whenever we've gone to visit them, they insist that he sleep in Dan's room, saying that their son, my husband, has come home and should sleep in his rightful bedroom. Before the pandemic, my dad would take Jeff out to sporting events and introduce him as his only son. Most of the pictures of my brother in my childhood home have been replaced by pictures of my parents with Jeff. The other day, my mom called to invite me and Jeff over for the holidays. I told her I wasn't comfortable traveling during a COVID spike. She was irritated but dropped it. Then she called Jeff and begged him to visit without me because apparently it's cruel for a mother to be without her child on Christmas. Jeff politely told her he wasn't going to visit without me. She's been emotionally blackmailing him ever since, sending him pictures of stockings with his, my mom's, and my dad's names on them and saying, but we already promised so and so that our son will be in town. This felt ridiculous and unsettling, so I called her up yesterday and explained to her that she's violating our boundaries. Jeff is not her replacement son, and no matter how much she pretends she doesn't have an actual son, she doesn't. It is her responsibility to make up for the damage she did to that relationship before it's too late. She started crying and called me cruel for mentioning Dan and said I have no idea what it's like to be a mother and it's disgusting that I'm trying to deprive her of a son when she has already lost one by keeping Jeff away from her. My father agrees with my mother and Jeff agrees with me, though he doesn't like to rock the boat and thinks I should apologize anyway. I thought I did the right thing, but now I'm really not sure if I went too far. Am I the idiot? Edit. Thank you all for the support and advice. I appreciate it so much. I haven't been able to sleep so I've been reading every comment. I don't know if I have the emotional energy to post in Just No Mother-in-Law yet, but I'm reading a lot of what's posted there and already feel less alone. My tentative plan is to arrange for me and Jeff to get individual therapy and maybe couples therapy later on. We're going no contact with my parents for a while. I'm also planning to invite Dan to stay with us over the holidays. I have a lot to make up for and I want to spend as much time as I can with him and let him know he's loved. Edit 2. Also in response to the people pointing out the gross incestuous implications behind this, with the way my parents talk about me and my husband. Most people who didn't know me growing up assume that I'm their daughter-in-law and Jeff is their son until one of us corrects them. Update. I want to first express my gratitude for everyone who commented and messaged me. I was raised in an unhealthy environment and as such I was very out of touch with what normal family dynamics and boundaries look like. The support, the resource recommendations, and the respectful criticisms have all been invaluable to me as I've begun to confront what I've avoided for a long time. People have messaged me asking for an update. Well, I'm happy to share good news. My husband and I went no contact with my parents as many of you suggested. We have also both started going to therapy. We have only had 3 sessions each, but I can definitely say it has been a total relief to process things that I have been bottling up my entire life. I already feel like I can understand myself and the clusterfuck I grew up in significantly better, kinda kicking myself for not trying it sooner. Jeff has felt the same way with his sessions from what he's told me. Under professional advice, we are holding off on couples therapy until we do a few more individual sessions, but we hope to start in the near future. Now for the main good news, my brother Dan is spending the holidays with us. After taking health precautions, he drove up last week and is staying with us past New Year's. Having Dan around has been incredibly special for me and Jeff. Dan and I have been making up for so much lost time, and I've never seen him smile so much and it warms my heart. I did tell him about the situation with our parents and Jeff before he came. It was hard to hear, but Dan has a really strong support system and seems to be processing it in a healthy way. He's coming up on 7 years sober now. I was finally able to apologize to him for not stepping up as a better sister earlier in his life and enabling our parents' abuse. He said he doesn't blame me, but I still want to show him through my actions that I will always be there. My parents have been pretty much losing their poop this entire time, especially when they found out Dan is with us. As a people pleaser, I'm proud of myself for being firm and maintaining my boundaries. Right now my heart is filled with more love and joy than it has been in a long time. I know life won't always be like this, but my brother is safe and healthy and happy and knows he is loved, and that is everything to me. I am sincerely appreciating what I have. Anyway, happy holidays everyone. Thank you again for your help. Much love to all of you. Lesser than 3 edit. Wow, all of your comments and messages have had me happy crying all day. I did not expect such an outpouring of love and support, and it is making an already beautiful holiday season even better. The compassion you all have shown us means so much more to me than I can even say. And thank you for all of the awards. I have been showing Dan all of the comments congratulating him on his sobriety, and he wants to say a heartfelt thank you. Emotions are running high in our house today. This Christmas Eve is one for the ages, not the idiot. Congratulations on your new, shiny spine. You're on your way to being a healthier and happier you, good for you. Just be careful because some parents, once they realize that they are being stood up to, escalate the behavior. So beware of retaliation, not the idiot. I'm glad the situation is working out. Reading your last post, I was shocked that your own parents would rather you spend the holidays alone so they can spend time with your husband. That's seriously so messed up. I know your husband doesn't want to get in the middle of it, but in time I would honestly see if he was comfortable explaining that them asking only him to visit was inappropriate and hurtful toward you, and if they insist on treating his wife that way then he doesn't want a relationship with them at all. Would you have cut them off? Let me know in the comments. Now, AITA for not telling people my missing cousin is staying with me right away. It is the middle of the night, and my phone won't stop ringing because of my family. To try and keep this short, my cousin Jake got outed about 4 or 5 days before his 18th birthday in the summer. His parents, my aunt and uncle, made arrangements for him to be sent to one of those awful camps that claim they could cure him. A kid in his community was forced to go and came back and was clearly not well, so Jake didn't want to go. Jake ran away from home and jumped from one family house to another. His folks didn't file a missing person report because they didn't want to look bad to their neighbors. They just told them that he went to that camp willingly. He disappeared in the middle of October and turned up in my city a week later. After making sure he was safe to bring home, my wife and I allowed him to stay. He didn't want me to tell the rest of the family for a while because those people at the camp kept showing up to take him. I made sure to talk to a lawyer who assured Jake that they cannot take him. 3 days ago, he told his parents he was here. A few hours later, those damn camp people showed up, but they were unable to take him. My family has been blowing up my phone for the last 2 days, angry that I didn't tell someone sooner. Well, Jake didn't feel safe yet, and still doesn't. I wanted to make sure he was ready. Still, even those that want to protect Jake are upset with me for hiding him. Am I the idiot for not telling anyone that he is here until he is ready? Edit. Wow, thank you all for the awards. I don't deserve them, but thanks. Since I am drinking coffee and slowly going through the comments, I thought I should say a few things. First off, while I figured I wasn't the off for hiding him from my more narrow-minded family, it was those that really wanted to help Jake that made me feel guilty. They were all scared out of their minds and wanted the peace to know he was okay. I felt bad for not telling them. Though I am sure they wouldn't have turned him in, I felt bad because we were working on keeping him safe. Also, we got a lawyer who got the police on the lookout for those camp people in case they try anything. Jake is not going out alone until we are sure he is safe. Third, we are looking at how to get his paperwork, like his birth certificate, here because no way he trusts his parents to just hand them over. My granny-in-law is talking to some people that could help. Fourth, Jake says hello and thank you. Oh, and we're Catholic, not Christian. We're our own special type of jackasses. Update. First off, I want to thank everyone for their comments and advice. Thank you for saying I was not the idiot, because I was doubting myself. Regarding the camp people, we have footage of them coming up to our house and other family members' houses looking for Jake, so we have a clear image of what they look like. I already warned those people not to come near our house or Jake. They seem to listen, but Jake is still not going to leave the house without someone. I talked to the police about it, and they cannot do anything unless these people break the law, but they will keep an eye out. Well, better than nothing, I guess. Regarding the paperwork, my aunt and uncle refuse to hand over the papers. They want Jake to either come home or go with those people. Neither is happening. We are looking up ways to get Jake's paperwork without them, but someone suggested calling the police and explaining what happened. While I don't usually want to go that far, that is what we are probably going to have to do. Regarding therapy, Jake agreed to it. I am getting a referral from my own therapist, so Jake is going to get help there. Regarding family, greater than insert loud sounds of pain, annoyance lesser than some family threatened to come over to try and make Jake go back home. Others, while understanding why I didn't tell them Jake was here, are still upset with me. It'll be a while before I can smooth things over with them. Regarding Jake, he is safe. We have him set up comfortably here. My granny-in-law pretty much adopted him, and I am so sure she is going to put him in his will. He is safe, surrounded by people that support him, and I'm going to see about finding him some work when he's ready to try it. Again, thank you everyone for your messages and advice. We will be using them. And Jake says thank you as well. Update. I wasn't sure if people were still reading this or I could make a third post. Decided to update here just in case I can't make a third post. Jake is doing well. While it was a struggle to get his papers from his parents, Jake threatened to tell their community and church that he ran away, and they didn't file a police report. They handed the stuff over to keep him quiet. I helped him get his license here. He is staying with my family and I for the time being. My granny-in-law adopted him, I think. She is quite fond of him. He has a job, is in therapy, and we found out his ex-boyfriend's parents were the ones that spilled the beans about him being gay. He is an ex because he sided with his parents, so screw him. But, despite everything, he is going to be okay. We are not worried about those camp people anymore. He is safe. He is well and says hi, not the idiot. Look, don't be afraid to use the police to get the papers back. If the parents try to interfere, then they deserve everything that happens. The thing is, nothing is going to happen. Jake's an adult. He gets to use every service any other taxpayer has a right to use, including a judge to put the fear of God and jail time into his parents. Not the idiot. Thank you Opus for saving Jake from torture. Conversion therapy is not camp, it is the Inquisition. The number of states have actually outlawed it and called it torture. Your family doesn't deserve Jake, nor did Jake deserve a family that would treat him like something broken to be fixed. For the family members who were concerned but would not have turned him in for torture, they are prioritizing their own fears over Jake's safety. And I would say that. I am glad that Jake agreed to therapy and that you are attempting to get his documentation. You are a good human and we need more people like you in the world. Thanks for the update.